Let me ask you something. What if everything you've heard about music being haram is only a small part of the real story? What if the real reason is deeper, more psychological, more spiritual, and honestly a little uncomfortable to accept? Because most people think music is haram because of bad lyrics, or because it distracts from prayer. But what if I told you, even good music, even instrumental music, can slowly reshape your heart in ways you don't even notice? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might never listen to music the same way again. Let's start with something very real. Think about the last time you listened to your favorite song. Maybe it made you feel emotional. Maybe it reminded you of someone. Maybe it changed your mood instantly. Now pause. Ask yourself, why does it have that power over you? Why can a few sounds arranged in a certain way control your emotions, your thoughts, even your behavior? This is where the conversation changes. Because Islam doesn't just look at actions, it looks at what those actions do to your heart. You see, in Islam, the heart is not just an organ. It's the center of your connection with Allah. And anything that slowly takes control of that heart, anything that competes with that connection, becomes dangerous. Not always instantly, but gradually, silently, deeply. Here's something most people don't realize. Music doesn't just entertain you. It programs you. Yes, programs. The rhythm, the repetition, the emotional triggers. They don't just pass through your ears. They settle inside your heart. And over time, they begin to influence what you love, what you hate, what you desire, even how you see the world. That's why you'll notice something strange. The more someone listens to music, the harder it becomes to sit in silence. The harder it becomes to focus in salah. The harder it becomes to feel peace without noise. Because the heart has become dependent, not on Allah, but on stimulation. And this is where the real danger begins. Because when your heart starts needing music to feel something, you slowly lose your ability to feel the sweetness of Aman. Let me say that again. When your heart is constantly filled with music, there's less space for the Quran, less space for remembrance, less space for that deep, calm, spiritual connection that Islam is trying to build inside you. And this isn't just theory. Look at your own life. How often do you feel bored without music? How often do you reach for your phone just to fill silence? How often do you choose a song over listening to the Quran? This isn't about guilt. This is about awareness. Because the issue is never just music is bad. The issue is, what is it replacing inside you? And here's where it gets even deeper. Because the real reason music is haram is not just about what you hear. It's about what it slowly makes you forget. What I'm about to share with you was not discovered recently. It was understood centuries ago by the scholars of Islam. One of the most powerful statements ever said on this topic was, music and the Quran cannot live in the same heart. Let that sink in. Not because someone is forcing you to choose, but because of how the heart naturally works. You see, the heart is like a container. Whatever you fill it with consistently begins to take control. If you constantly fill it with remembrance of Allah, your heart becomes soft, calm, connected. But if you constantly fill it with music, especially emotional, repetitive music, your heart becomes attached to that instead. And here's the scary part. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, so slowly that you don't even notice the change. At first, you listen casually. Then it becomes a habit. Then it becomes a need. And eventually, it becomes something you can't live without. Now, think about this honestly. How many people say, I can't drive without music. I can't study without music. I can't relax without music. But when it comes to the Quran, do we say the same? Do we feel the same need? Do we crave it the same way? This is the imbalance Islam is trying to protect you from. Because the more attached your heart becomes to music, the less it responds to the Quran. And here's something even deeper. The Quran is not just words. It's guidance, healing, nuru light. But for it to affect you, your heart has to be present. Your heart has to be clean, receptive, alive. Now imagine this. A heart constantly filled with loud beats, constant stimulation, endless emotional highs, and lows. Then suddenly, you open the Quran. It feels slow. It feels heavy. It feels difficult to focus. Not because the Quran is lacking anything, but because the heart has been trained to seek something else. And this is exactly why many people say, I try to read Quran, but I don't feel anything. I get distracted easily. I lose focus quickly. But the real question is, what has your heart been consuming before you open the Quran? Because the heart can't be fully attached to two different sources that pull in opposite directions. One pulls you towards dunya, towards emotions, desires, distractions, and the other pulls you towards Allah, towards peace, purpose, and truth. And here's where modern science actually agrees. Psychologists have found that repeated exposure to music, especially with strong emotional patterns, can rewire your brain's reward system, meaning your brain starts craving that stimulation. It expects it. It depends on it. And when that stimulation is removed, you feel restless, empty, uncomfortable. Subhanallah, isn't that exactly what we see today? People are surrounded by constant noise, yet they feel more empty than ever, more anxious, more disconnected, because real peace was never meant to come from sound. It was meant to come from connection with Allah. And this is the part most people don't expect. Music doesn't just distract you from the Quran. It can actually replace the emotional role that the Quran is supposed to play in your life. Instead of turning to Allah when you're sad, you turn to a song. Instead of making dua when you're overwhelmed, you press play. And slowly, without realizing it, your heart builds a different dependency. Now let's go deeper, not just into what music does to your heart, but what it slowly does to you as a person. Because here's a question most people never ask. What if music isn't just something you listen to, but something that is actively shaping your identity? Think about this carefully. Every song carries a message. Sometimes it's obvious. Love, heartbreak, desire, anger. And sometimes it's subtle. A certain lifestyle, a certain attitude, a certain way of thinking. Now, imagine listening to those messages every single day, repeating them, memorizing them, feeling them. Do you really think they don't affect you? Of course they do, because the human mind is built to absorb repetition. Whatever you hear again and again starts to feel normal, starts to feel right, starts to feel like you. This is why someone who constantly listens to sad music begins to feel sad more often. Someone who listens to aggressive music becomes more irritated, more reactive. Someone who listens to romanticized, unrealistic love songs starts to expect that kind of love in real life. And when reality doesn't match, they feel empty, disappointed, lost. Subhanallah, this is not a small thing. This is your entire emotional world being shaped without you even realizing it. And this is exactly why Islam is so protective. Because Islam doesn't just care about what you do. It cares about who you become. Now let's go even deeper. Music doesn't just influence your emotions. It influences your desires. Certain lyrics normalize things that Islam clearly warns against. Certain beats create feelings that push you towards certain actions. Certain themes make sinful lifestyles seem attractive, even beautiful. And the more you're exposed to it, the less strange it feels, the less wrong it feels. Until one day, what once bothered you no longer affects you at all. This is what scholars describe as the hardening of the heart. Not in a dramatic way, not instantly, but gradually. You stop feeling guilt as strongly. You stop questioning certain things. You stop resisting certain temptations. And all of this started with something that seemed so harmless. Now here's the part most people avoid. Music can also shape your identity. The way you dress, the way you talk, the way you see relationships, the way you define happiness. All of these can be influenced by what you constantly listen to. And over time, you may start living a lifestyle that doesn't align with Islam anymore. Not because you chose to reject Islam, but because your influences slowly pulled you away. And this is why the issue is so serious. Because it's not about one song. It's about long-term transformation. Ask yourself honestly, who would you be If you removed music from your life completely, would your thoughts change? Would your emotions feel different? Would your connection with Allah become stronger? For many people, the answer is yes. And that realization is uncomfortable, but it's also powerful because it means you have more control than you think. Now that you understand the deeper impact of music, the real question is not, is music haram? The real question is, what are you going to do about it? Because knowledge without action doesn't change anything. Let's be honest. For many people, music isn't just background noise. It's part of their daily life, their routine, their comfort. So when they hear to stop listening, it feels impossible. But here's the truth. Islam was never meant to burden you. It was meant to free you. And the first step to breaking free is not forcing yourself to quit overnight. It's understanding why you turn to music in the first place. Ask yourself, do you listen when you're bored? When you're sad? When you're stressed? When you feel empty? Because music is often not the problem. It's the escape. And if you remove the escape, without healing the reason behind it, you'll always go back. So instead of just quitting, start replacing. Replace music with something that actually feeds your soul. Start listening to the Quran, even if it's just a few minutes a day, even if you don't understand everything yet. At first, it might feel different, maybe even difficult. But over time, something beautiful happens. Your heart begins to soften. Your mind begins to slow down. You start feeling a kind of peace that music never truly gave you. Because this is real peace, not temporary stimulation, not emotional highs that crash later, but a calm, steady, deep connection. And don't stop there. Fill your time with remembrance. Simple words like Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. These are not just words. They're nourishment for your heart. Also, protect your environment. If your surroundings are always filled with music, it becomes much harder to change. So take small steps. Remove songs from your phone. Unfollow pages that constantly post music. Create moments of silence in your day. Yes, silence, because silence is where your heart starts to wake up again. And most importantly, make dua. Ask Allah sincerely, Ya Allah, remove from my heart anything that distances me from you, and replace it with something better. Because you're not doing this alone. Allah sees your effort, even if it's small, even if you slip sometimes. What matters is that you keep trying. And remember this, whatever you give up for the sake of Allah, He replaces it with something better, always. Maybe you'll lose certain songs, but you'll gain peace. Maybe you'll lose certain habits, but you'll gain clarity. Maybe you'll lose temporary comfort, but you'll gain something far more valuable, a heart that is truly connected to Allah. Before we end, take a moment. Reflect honestly. What role does music play in your life right now? And what role do you want Allah to have? If this message made you think, even a little, then don't ignore that feeling. That might be your heart trying to come back. If you'd like, share your thoughts or your experience in the comments. And if this reminded you of something important, you can support the message by liking and subscribing so more people can benefit.